Yeah, Dana here. I have been meaning to do this video for a while, but I did want to make sure that it was a year into my move and that I was actually going to be staying here to live, and it is my pros and cons of moving to Seattle video. I moved to Seattle 1 month and 1 year ago. I have to say it's been a challenging time, a rewarding time, a new experience. Just get into the pros and cons of moving to Seattle. If you like diversity, if you want to live in a tolerant city, if you want to live in an open-minded city, Seattle is definitely one of the most open-minded places you will ever live. It is a melting pot, but I have to say that there's something about the Pacific Northwest and just the West Coast in general that just makes it feel like people are just way more tolerant, way more understanding, way more open about accepting people from different walks of life. People here tend to be really laid back in nature and really friendly. Doesn't mean that you'll make friends necessarily. It's just that people are always very accommodating, and that vibe, that laid back vibe, just makes you feel at home initially. What's cool about Seattle is, like, it's not a hustle and bustle kind of city. That's very much the rhythm of, like, most people here. Everybody's in their routine, and once you can find your routine, that makes living here a lot easier. If you're somebody who enjoys having activities to do, there is literally no shortage of places to eat, cultural events, things to see, places to go. Washington State in general is very picturesque. If you like to hike, if you like to ski, unfortunately right now we're in the middle of a drought, so the snowpack's really low. I don't even think skiing is an option right now, but if you enjoy outdoor activities, if you enjoy, sightseeing, driving out in the middle of nowhere, getting amazing views and things like that, Seattle, literally there's no shortage of beaches, fishing, you name it. And their nightlife does, like, pretty much stop anywhere at 2 p.m., which, being from Atlanta, being used to, like, a nightlife that never technically ends or ends at 5 or 6 a.m., that's something new for me. But if you're somebody who just, wants to get out in the city and have something to do, that's there for you most anywhere. Washington State itself has no state income tax. In general, Seattle doesn't seem to ask very much of their residents in that way, so that's a good thing. You're gonna pay higher property taxes and things like that, but we'll get into that in our cons. Seattle is a very educated city because the school systems here are so great, and because talent moves here in general. Most people are educated, most people have degrees. All of the spoils that come with that typically are here in Seattle. If you're looking for a good job, and you're educated, come here. There are going to be jobs aplenty. So for the cons, now I am from Atlanta. I am used to traffic, but the traffic here is different in that there is almost never a time when it's moving well on both sides. The roads, whether it be like just side streets and back roads or the highways, I just feel like the infrastructure here is just all off, man. It's just all off. Couple that with bad drivers, couple that with accidents. If I can avoid leaving within my home, within 20 minutes of home, I try not to. Because of the traffic, I would never want to befriend somebody in, like, a South Seattle, because it's just, you might as well be long distance friends. That area is only 20 miles away, and in Atlanta traffic, that 45-minute drive probably wouldn't be hellish, but because of the stop and go traffic here, and also once you get into the city, there's a part of, like, the deep in the city where the speed limit will be different depending on which lane you're in. It's just a clusterfuck. If you're not a strong driver, it can be an issue because all of the other drivers around you have to watch out for as well, and you end up having to drive very defensively here as well. I have never been in a car accident in my life. Guess where my first car accident was? A mile away from my home, right here in the city. So there's that. Another con is probably the obvious one. Seattle can definitely be a little gloomy. There are more overcast days than bright days. I will say that there's this myth that it just rains so heavily, and it's not that it rains heavily, it's just that the rain can go on for hours and sometimes days. It can just be this heavy mist that just is incessant. I'm not gonna lie to you, it does get gloomy here from about October to April, and that's a long stretch of time, but the summers here are gorgeous. I figured that was worth mentioning because our last summer was just beautiful. I will say that another con is that the cost of living here is crazy. Groceries are a lot higher, property taxes are a lot higher, rent is too damn high. Affordable housing is literally in the most unfavorable places, and it's also a big part of the reason why I chose to rent a room and not get an apartment to start with. I just felt like that was the one final piece in the puzzle that I would have liked to have accomplished within my first year of being here, but I don't want to sacrifice my daughter's education just for a place right now. A lot of people bunk up, a lot of people get roommates, a lot of people live with friends. It's not unheard of to have people rent a 5-bedroom house and there be 5 roommates in that home. Keep that in mind if you ever decide to move here. If you do want to have your own place, it would definitely be in your best interest to save up your rent for several months in advance. And just like New York and other places like it, when you move into a place, they want first, last, and a security deposit. So if you don't have at least 3 months worth of rent ready to give somebody the day that you move in, don't bother. Also, I would definitely have to say another con is if you don't have some form of desirable formal education or desirable work experience, because this is a deep talent pool, you either have to come into it with a reliable source of income and self-employment, or you have to come in here with some form of degree that'll get you a job. And unless you're okay with being a barista, which from what I gather, most people only want experienced baristas, you're not going to be able to find a good job. You'll be able to find a job, but you won't be able to find a well-paying job. And everybody wants to make money. It just is what it is. You're not going to enjoy living here if you're broke all the time. It just won't work. Back to the whole Seattle being a rainy place in the rainy season. It is damp here, you know, it does get moldy sometimes. You do have to maintain your home a little better around the windows. The condensation can definitely get to be intense. If you're somebody with health issues, that's something that you're going to have to keep in mind if you move here and have a place. It can affect your health if you're not careful. I've been sick here a lot more often than I'm used to, and back home I probably would have never been sick this often, but it's just one of the trade-offs. Another con I'd have to say is it's really hard to make friends here, and dating is especially hard here as well. I know I can speak and say that for women, your odds are really good because there is more men here than women because there's so many men coming here to work. But also keep in mind that a lot of the people here are very career driven and don't even really want to invest time in getting to know someone while climbing up the corporate ladder. And meeting people that are emotionally stable and of the same mind as you, especially when you're from out of town, is really difficult. There is a passive aggressiveness with people here. Okay, so now some things that I do like about the city is if you're into like niche fringe activities, if you're into like geek culture, if you're into tech culture, I guarantee you there's a good chance that you can find people here in the city that are into what you're into, that want to like get together. You can walk around in your silly little cosplay outfit and not be self-conscious. People pretty much won't judge you as you're, well, I mean, they'll probably judge you, but they'll keep it to themselves because again, people do tend to be very tactful here. I will say that because of how gloomy the rainy season can make it here, once the summer does come, it comes and the sun, it's sunny days, like the sun gets up at about 5 a.m. and doesn't go down till 8. Like, enjoy your summers. They're beautiful. It's shorter than a lot of places, but it's definitely, you can pack in your activities. Anybody telling you otherwise is lying to you and just doesn't want you to move here. That's just the truth. A big selling point for me when I moved here was my daughter's education and the education that she would have been granted at home versus here. It's night and day. Her class sizes are a lot smaller. The curriculum is aimed at challenging her. My daughter's a really strong reader. She was pushed to like pursue that talent and things like that. They have encouraged her to, you know, read at her pace and at her level. And in a lot of places, because they pander to the middle, the children in the upper rung are cheated and the children in the bottom rung are left behind. So it's good to know that even though she's in a class with other children her age, that her strengths are being fostered. And that as a parent, especially as a single parent who may not necessarily have the family to kind of back up and instill those things, it's good to know that I have an ally in her school. Seattle is literally a foodie's dream. I feel like almost every culture is accounted for as far as foreign food goes. The food trucks here are amazing. You could literally just food crawl through a Fremont or Ballard in a day and get your fix as far as like traveling the world for food. If you are a coffee connoisseur or a beer connoisseur, there are breweries all over the place that have all sorts of craft beers, so you can definitely taste your way through beers and find what you're looking for, find a beer for every food and occasion, which is great. Same thing with coffee here. There's literally an espresso place on every block. Obviously Starbucks is a dime a dozen here, but there are other places to get good coffee. Seattle's best, and like I said, these little holes in the wall, these little coffee shops and espresso stands all over, you'll be amazed at the coffee that you can find all over the place. Also too, you know, having the Seahawks here has made it, you know, football season way more exciting. The Mariners have a strong, solid fan base here as well, and the soccer team, the Sounders, people go off for the Sounders, and you don't see that in a lot of cities. So it's cool that you've got all these different teams that people root for and are passionate about. That's pretty much it. I tried to cover as many bases as possible. I do want to make a second part to this video. So I appreciate you guys watching. Leave your comments down in the comment section below. And as always, peace, positive people.